turkey person's a fraud. My first year at Manassas, we were 3-3. Now, I think 3-3 is pretty average, but we were 3-3 midway through the season. Now, I think that's pretty average, but when you've won 4 games in 10 years, they thought I was like a fat, redheaded version of Newt Rockney or something. I mean, 3-3, hey! And I was like, that's kind of average. When we got there, the basic tenets and fundamentals of commitment and integrity and civility and honor weren't necessarily part of the ethos of the vast majority of the kids from these neighborhoods and this school. And so we recognized we were going to be teaching a lot of things other than just football. And the idea was if we could create an army of kids who buy into character and commitment and integrity and the dignity of hard work and all of the core fundamentals and tenets that are in my book, Against the Grain, if we can get a whole group of kids to live and buy into those tenets, then we'll have an army of kids built the right way. Football will come easy. So that's what we started doing. Now we were 3-3, and the whole team was respectful and we're buying into the football stuff. New equipment, winning some games, and that was great. But only half the team was buying into that important stuff. The other half the team, while respectful and yes sir, no sir in football, the minute football was over, practice was over, they were back in the streets, back doing the same destructive stuff, not paying attention to homework, disrespecting teachers, all the stuff we were trying to fix. Half the team was buying in. The other half the team wasn't. So I went to my guy because it's driving me nuts. And my guy's name was Bo. I said, Bo, what do I got to do to get that half the team to buy in like your half the team? What do I got to do to get them to buy into the important stuff? And Bo is the guy that I was first outside of my vacuum with. Bo is the guy that we had real conversations. Bo is the guy that we really started to understand one another's ethos. And Bo looked at me and he said, oh, Coach, just keep doing what you're doing. And I said, no, man, dismissively, if you have children, you've heard it. And I said, no, man, real talk. He said, Coach, I don't want to hurt your feelings. And I said, Bo, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Tell me the truth. He said, all right, real talk. I said, real talk. Why won't they buy in like the rest of you guys? And he said, Coach, they're trying to figure out if you're a turkey person or not. Now, my first 8 weeks at Manassas, I learned a lot of vernacular I'd not known in my lifetime. Turkey person was not one of them. And I said, Bo, what are you talking about? He said, Coach, every Thanksgiving and Christmas, people roll into our neighborhoods and they drop off gifts and hams and turkeys, and we take them because we ain't got none. But then they leave and we never see them again. Makes you wonder if they're doing that because they really care about us or they're doing that to make themselves feel good. He looked me dead in the eyes and he said, Coach, what the hell are you doing here? My question for you is, why do you hold office? Corner office is nice. Shiny cards with a neat seal on them is cool. The accolades are good. The feeling is nice. The position gives you status. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with it? Are you leading? Y'all, if you serve turkeys and hams and gifts on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving, you take time away from your family to do that, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing. But I'm asking you what your motive is. Just like Bo asked me what my motive was. And let me explain to you why I can say to you what I'm saying to you right now. Let me say why I said what I just said, that the room got quiet and a few seats got a little pinched. Let me tell you why. Because I didn't have time to change out of my Manassas coaching gear when I left Manassas practice. And the deal was I couldn't coach Manassas, not coach my own kids. So believe it or not, while growing my business and coaching at Manassas, I also had to coach my kids' team. So practice was over at 5:30 for Manassas. My kids' team started at 6:30. I didn't have time to change out of my Manassas gear, so I would go to my kids' practice at 6:30, Little League, and I'd be in my Manassas stuff. And the commercial appeal, the Memphis newspaper, would be writing stories about sports teams that were winning. And people were starting to take notice of this team that always lost starting to win, and then I start showing up in this Manassas gear, and my friends, my contemporaries, coming up and saying, what are you doing? I'm like, man, I'm coaching Manassas. They're like, I'm reading about that. That's awesome. I'm like, yeah, I got them to 3-3. What else? Well, I got them taking ACT prep classes. What else? Well, I got them out of the streets. Well, what else? Well, I've got them to be respectful in the classroom. What else? I've got them doing their homework. I swear to you, not 2 weeks after Bo taught me what a turkey person was, the Commercial Appeal front page had a picture of me after we won our 3rd district game, and the title was Manassas Miracle. People were wadding that newspaper ad up, putting it in an envelope, mailing it to me, and writing me letters about what an amazing human being I was for working with those inner city kids. And I'm going to tell you something, it felt good. A lot of slaps on the back, a lot of notoriety, a lot of it. Let me tell you the truth. I lived in a really nice house with a really nice car, and I could go home and sleep with my windows open and door unlocked if I wanted to. Many of these kids sleep in tubs. And for those of you who don't know why they sleep in tubs, is they live in old areas. Tubs are cast iron, and when drive-by shooting happen, if you're sleeping in the tub, you don't die. Many of them were searching for a meal at night. I ate fine. Here's the thing. Anytime anybody asked me anything about Manassas, I was happy to tell them everything I had done. And the truth is, some of these kids, one of my rules were you had to wear maize and gold, the only colors you were allowed. In other words, you couldn't wear the colors of Crips or Bloods or GDs or whatever. Our colors were the football colors. Some of these kids, GDs specifically, to get out of their gang had to have a beat out. That is a 2-minute, 3-on-1 butt whooping, and if you fall to your knees, they won't let you out. You got to take it. I had guys being called sellouts. What are you doing homework? Listen to that white coach for, man. That ain't nothing. You ain't going nowhere with that. Man, you sellout. I had them being called Uncle Tom, sellouts, literally getting beat out of gangs to join something positive. And anytime I was asked about it, I would tell everybody everything I was doing. My son, Will, we were at the dinner table a couple weeks after the turkey person story and the Manassas Miracle story, and we're talking football. And my son looks at me and says, "Hey, Dad, I know everything you've done at Manassas, but what are your players' names?" I hadn't even told my own kids my players' names. What are your players' names? What are your players' names? What about that segment of constituents that you really don't know anything about? What are their names? We have an abject loss of leadership in our society today, and I'm telling you right now, it is because we have been unwilling to get out of our vacuums and because many times our motives are all fouled up. We got to serve. This country was founded on service. This country is built on service. And yes, we've always had adversarial positions, but one of the main reasons we've always been able to work it out is because at the end of the day, we wanted to serve the greater good. Today feels like a lot of self-service. And the problem is those people outside your vacuum, they see it. They know it. Because what they understand is a turkey person is a fraud. And I was. If I'd have stayed down that track, I'd never been standing here today. But what I realized is the greatest leaders of our time always take the blame when things go wrong and give credit to the followers when things go right. And I started doing that for my football team. And all of a sudden, they started buying into me. And then we were able to have the conversations about the stuff that mattered, and then things changed in their life and in my life. Same thing in my business. We have an abject loss of leadership in our society today, guys. We've got to get out of our vacuums. We've got to serve. And we've got to have the right motives. And we've got to understand the minute we start being a turkey person, we're a fraud. And while we have the position and people may say yes, sir, no, sir, and yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, the minute we turn and walk away, they stare darts through your fraudulent self. And you will not lead them.